business? Because when everyone is saying that they're going to a subscription model, uh, do you think that was a good decision?
Until the a large segment of the market is already with you, it doesn't make sense for me to have a subscription model.
How do you manage your time specifically being a founder?
Once Elon has come, life has become much better. It's become more streamlined now.
How are you doing right now? If you don't mind sharing the numbers a little bit.
Oh, so yeah, of course. No, so we did reason. We are doing reasonably well. We had a profit of roughly.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to yet another podcast on Byte Ventures. Today, we have a very special guest, the legend himself, GKCS or Gaurav Sen. Uh, I am having a very surreal feeling because this is the exact same position you have on all of your videos and all stuff. And we are doing this live. I don't know how you feel it, but it's very special for me. And thank you for joining, Gaurav.
No, thank you so much for hosting these podcasts, Sitesh. It's really nice to be part of this. And you have been, just to let everyone know, this has taken a lot of effort on Sitesh's part. I have been a very slippery guest. We had a deployment on two of the days that we had previously planned. So thank you so much, Sitesh, for making this possible.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, not a problem because I know managing a company is pretty difficult. We'll talk about that. But for people, for a slight corner of the world who don't know you yet, why don't you give a little bit of introduction?
Yeah. Of the 7,990,000,000 people who don't know me, I'm Gaurav Sen. I have a YouTube channel on system design, and I used to talk about computer programming also earlier. I have been a computer programmer. I've gotten a few ranks in all India, which still makes me quite proud. But that is like way back. Now I have a small company called InterviewReady, which helps software engineers prepare for interviews. It's a 9-person team right now, and we are doing reasonably well. We are completely bootstrapped. We are profitable, and we are trying to build the world's first system design judge.
Okay, awesome. I think we'll start with that conversation. Recently, you concluded the first world's system design contest, right? And
Yeah.
you learned a lot through that. So why don't you describe a little bit on that?
So luckily we didn't have an outage in this contest, but I was really concerned that we will have an outage, because for us having 1,000 concurrent users is a big deal. So I called up some of my friends who are also YouTubers and in the same space. They told me about two things. One was to increase the limit of the instance that we had. So we are currently using a small instance. They asked me to move to a large instance, and the other
Okay.
thing was to make sure that you don't get a DDoS attack. So if someone maliciously wants to take you down, that's the time when you have massive scaling issues. So just have a web application firewall and things should work. What we did do is we added a web application firewall. We just cached most of the paths that people, when they're trying to fetch a contest question or they are trying to make a submission, those kind of things were optimized, and we ran with the same small instance, and there was no issue. Like we went at 5% capacity.
I think you made a post about it where you reduced the capacity from micro to nano or something.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
In fact,
so nano. So nano did
absolutely.
hold well, pretty well.
It's doing really well. The only challenge is you have lesser memory. So having in-memory caches is not. Um, so we have to be a little more careful that we don't just load everything into cache. But to be frank with you, like um, a nano instance has zero point 0.5 GB memory, which is less. But a micro instance has 1 GB memory, which is enough for us. So a small one has 2 GB. So for us, and we don't need virtual CPUs. So it's really humbling also in a way. Like we look at Google having massive scale and Facebook, and then you have InterviewReady, which is like just 1% of a small instance, or 2 or 3 or 4% of a micro instance. So yeah, that is a good idea. It saves cost, saves the environment. I don't know whether that happens, but yeah, whatever.
Okay, awesome. I think you did pretty well, and huge congratulations for that. We'll talk
Thank
about a little bit on the vision and all stuff. But coming back to the first thing, so I think I got to know you when I was in my final year preparing for system design interviews, probably back in 2017, 18, and I think you were one of the guys who started system design on YouTube. And I remember you changed the boards from a smaller one to a bigger one, and then finally to this place, somewhat to this place. And then your videos improved a lot graphically with a lot of animations and all stuff. And then
Yeah.
you did couple of Gaurav Sens on the sharding thing where you're asking questions to a different
Yeah.
person. So tell me like how it all started. What was the initial motivation, and what happened?
So in 2017, I had a incident where I realized that I need to start really documenting the stuff that I've read. And there's a lot of people who are looking for this kind of information, computer science related. So computer programming is how I started. Uh, and we had a board in one of the rooms, office rooms, and that's where I started shooting. Then it moved to a different room which had a bigger board, and everyone in HR and the company got to know that Gaurav in the night goes and shoots videos when the
Oh my
office
God.
room. Yeah, and actually, HR of the company, they saw the videos, and I was concerned that, oh no, maybe this is something wrong, but they were very happy. It's actually building, the right kind of information, and the branding is also being helped. So they were very supportive, and eventually, you know, I moved to Uber. There also, the everyone was very supportive. And now that I'm doing this full time by myself, yeah, I do need this whiteboard just behind me so that I now, although most of the times I use a digital whiteboard because the setup is just all sorted. I have to just turn on the camera. Personally speaking, like taking the whiteboard, setting up the camera, lapel mic, and all that takes a lot of time. So this is easier for me.
Yeah, that's very good. And what was the initial motivation to continue it forwards after you thought like, okay, uh, or take it full time, I would say.
Full time was a big decision. Before that, to continue it, as long as I was getting even a few people who are interested in this, it was like me just sharing what I did. So when it came to computer programming, coding was something that I liked doing, and then I would explain my algorithm, I would explain my thoughts, I would share something, and then I started making videos. So that got a lot of attention and traction, and people started thanking me, this is great, this is really useful. So that was motivation enough to switch from a part-time thing to a full-time role here. That was a big decision. There I took care of a few things. Would you like me to go into a little bit of detail here?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
this.
yeah, sure.
So there's three things that I thought of. One was just making sure that it's a sustainable thing. Like it's not that it spikes up in 1 month and then I don't know what's going to happen. It's a reasonably sustained thing that you can sell a course and there are newer students and then you can continue selling courses to them. So which is what I'm already doing through YouTube, through ads. Instead, I can give them the direct product. Uh, the second thing after sustainability was safety. If things don't work out, will I be able to go back to the job market? Will I be able to get hired? I was reasonably confident that that can happen. And then, yeah, the third thing for me was a little bit of market research, just making sure that things are fine. So I had a YouTube channel, I had a proof of concept. Yes, it seems to be making sense. Yes, I have partnered with other people earlier, so now it makes sense to put all of the attention here instead of a little bit of attention. My wife used to, she was not my wife then, but yeah, she was my girlfriend then. She used to tell me that this is what you can do, this is what you can do, and I always used to have this thing that, hey, I'm not getting enough time. Now that I'm doing this full time, I realize I probably had quite a bit of time then also. It was more of an excuse that I was making all the time. But yeah, it's good that I moved in full time. It really helps.
Awesome. I think it's more than 2 years, right? Or 3 years.
It's four actually. 2020
Oh,
June is
okay.
when
Yeah.
I started, and 2019 is when I November is when I quit my job at Uber.
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's
I remember. It is 4 years. Yeah, because I have read that. Okay, cool. My bad. So what is the vision? Because nowadays, if you see, a lot of companies are coming up in this space, right? So, what is the USP that you have right now? We'll talk a little bit more about business, but
sure.
what is the USP? And the second thing is, what is the vision that you're carrying as a founder?
So the USP is, one is that it's a lifetime course. We don't really have a subscription kind of thing. Although it is lifetime course, we have continuous updates. So very often it's difficult to say when you'll have an interview, whether it's 6 months or 8 months or 1 year down the line. I'm saying if you buy this, then you can use it right now, and 3 years later, if you want to switch jobs, you can, which people do. uh, so it's a one-time fee, which helps me sustain this model. The second thing is that if you have any deep doubts, like intense things which you probably can't type out, or we can't really cover everything in the world, so you can ask those doubts or those topics live. We have live sessions. These are again unlimited. I take two of them a month. So in a year you have 24, and in 4 years we have had quite a few live sessions. So here you can ask your doubts directly on chat, or you can just unmute yourself and talk. So personalized doubt solving, there is lifetime access to this, and there's a lot of videos. Like I'm talking about 300 plus videos. So we have covered
Yeah.
most of the topics in system design. So that is exciting. Yeah, that's the
But
USP. Yeah,
okay, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, Satish, go ahead.
So, but when you said it's a single one-time purchase, like, is it not an anti-pattern for a business? Because when everyone is saying that they're going to a subscription model, uh, do you think that was a good decision, or what was the thought process behind that?
So at least for now, this is what I thought 2 years ago, and then I thought 2 years ago before that until the a large segment of the market is already with you, it doesn't make sense for me to have a subscription model, because firstly I want to make sure that the product is really really good, like people are giving it a very high rating. We do have it now, 4.5 star rating plus, but even
Yeah.
now I feel like we need to uh, there is a very large market, and we have basically just gone for 5 or 10% of it, maybe less than 10%, just 5%. So at this point, a subscription based model is not necessary. I don't need recurring revenue. I just need revenue to grow the company. Once it is excellent, once I feel like there are things here which have a lot of cost of maintenance, then I can go for a subscription. The second question that you mentioned, Sitesh, kind of answers this question, which is what is the vision. The basic idea of interview ready is to make hiring and interviewing easier. So one major problem right now is that system design interviews are completely subjective, which is great when you're evaluating a candidate, but it is a huge problem when you're trying to practice for them. So, I mean, Sitesh, you can take my interview and tell me, Gaurav, you are really good at this. And another person can take my interview and say, Gaurav, you are really bad at the same thing. Okay. Although there is some objectivity, yes, we as humans can talk and understand, but there's a lot of subjectivity also. So how do I train myself when I have all of these problems, these inputs? And then how do I find Sitesh? Right? Sitesh is
Yeah.
a friend. Okay, he'll come with me. If Sitesh is a random person, then he will either charge me a large amount because he's a human being, his time is valuable, or I just can't find Sitesh's. Even if he charges me an amount, I can't find him. So an automated judge which can evaluate your system design so that you can self practice and self learn is what I think the software industry needs. The code editor, the coding judge has already been there. It has enabled a lot of us to practice from home, and
Hmm.
being from tier 3 tier 4 colleges doesn't matter. You can practice till you reach a decent level of coding at least. That's not there for system design. I think it's necessary. That's what we are building.
And also, I think you have mentioned this in a lot of LinkedIn posts that you might want to change the hiring process by introducing some of the things that we really use in job, right? And
Yeah,
I think this your system design judge is an enabler for that, or how do you see
it's the
it?
first step. Yeah, it's absolutely the first step. There is a second step to this, which is when people actually write code on the job, they consider things like concurrency. They think of things like API design. They think of things which are one order higher than just making sure that the algorithm is correct. So practical algorithms, practical considerations is what we are looking to do. A coding judge is a very mature tool in this industry. What we are trying to do is we are trying to build capabilities on top of it, that you can, given a task to create a microservice, let's say, you set up the APIs, you attach the cache, the database, and we see if your code is correct. So that's something
Okay,
that we are planning to do in future. Yeah.
that's awesome. Cool. So coming back to this, how big is the market right now? Like especially on on the people want to learn this kind of concepts?
So my YouTube channel has around 5 lakh subscribers, but Free Code Camp has around 10 million. I mean, it's not 10 million exactly, but I can see it go to 10 million in just a few years. So it's difficult to say exactly how large the market is, but if I had to guess, I would say 10 million, because a lot of people watch videos but don't subscribe,
Yeah.
and a lot of people who don't subscribe actually end up buying also. So it's those two sections are completely different. So if I had to guess, yeah, I would say maybe the entire market size, like the whole people, if everyone is with you, then lead code size would be 1 million or 10 million. 10 million is probably closer.
Awesome. So I have been working with the industry with couple of years now, and there are two things that got addressed. One was interviews using lead code style thing. One will be yours, the system design thing. The other painful thing is testing, right? A lot of software engineers like worry a lot about testing, and because there is no training of a good testing thing, a lot of companies follow different libraries, frameworks, and all stuff. Do you plan to accommodate testing sometimes into system designs?
We haven't thought of it yet, and that actually shows to some extent how the lack of surfacing of this real problem, that testing is a real thing. It's mostly an afterthought in most interview tests. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. Now that you say it, it's something we should consider. I don't know how to do this exactly, so but it is something we will consider. It's a good point.
Yeah, because
Now,
everyone hates it, right? Everyone is like, oh, I don't want to write tests. I don't want to write integration tests because I somehow want my feature to work on production without testing all the cases.
yeah, people use chat gpt more for testing than for actually writing the code, in the sense, even people who say that chat gpt is not very good at coding, they say but it's okay for tests. Like I think partly because they find testing so boring and something that they want to avoid, that they go for this. So it's something we can do. Testing, especially concurrent code, is extremely hard. So
Yeah.
maybe we can do something around that also. We were considering writing the testers so that we can evaluate people, but now that say that, we can maybe flip it also and say that we have written the right code, you write the test.
Cool. Okay. Coming back to interview ready after you have done 4 years, but what if you got a chance to start it today again? What are the things you would do differently?
Well, one of the things I would do, which is a big mistake and nearly took us out 2 years ago, no, not even 2 years ago, like 1.5 years ago, was that we started doing well. So from something like 7 to 8 lakhs of revenue per month, we started moving to almost 20. And then you go like, oh wow, this is so awesome, and this is it, we need to start scaling. So we're not just scaling in terms of revenue, we are also hiring people. So every problem is superficially looked at, and then you kind of define the problem, and then you go, I wish I had a person who took care of this, and then you hire a person. So this kept happening, and our profits are going up. Sorry, our revenue is going up, not our profits. Our revenue is going up, and the number of people we are hiring is also going at the same rate. So here's the mistake that I made. If you're making 2 lakhs of profit at 7, that's a pretty good percentage. But if you're making 2 lakhs of profit at 30, then if there is a downfall, if there is, like, you go from 30 to 15, then you have a 15 lakh loss while you have just made 2 lakhs per month. If you go from 7 to 3, then you just have a 2 lakh loss. So the volume of savings I had was not increasing. So the savings should go up proportionately. That was not happening. And when we did go down in
Mhm.
2023 Jan, we had a loss of roughly 10 lakh rupees. Then we had a loss of roughly 15 lakh rupees. And 25 lakhs, I mean, post tax is a pretty big loss. So that really set us back almost a year. And this was a real big problem, because the company was hardly mature. It had hardly made any money. So we had to. There were a few things that we did, and this is what I wish I had done earlier. One was not hire people so aggressively,
Hmm.
but a few other things which are obvious and I didn't do was firstly talk to vendors, talk to people who are hosting your video, talk to AWS, talk to Razorpay, talk to everybody, and try to get a good deal from them. Don't just look at the pricing page and say, oh, this is what they'll charge. Like, just ask them, and then dig around a bit. So I felt like 2%, right? I was a young founder. I didn't really understand 2% is actually a big deal. Your entire profit margin is 3%. So 2% is a big deal. So that was something that I did actually when we were in trouble. Then I spoke to Vimeo. I spoke to HubSpot. Some people agreed, some people didn't agree. People who didn't agree, we had to migrate from them. And then there were people who were on contract. We had to let them go. People who were with us full time, most of the time we try to put them on contract or had to let them go. It's basically you're short on money, and that's when I realized that this is uh, this is a huge mistake from my side. So yeah, that is something I want to avoid moving forward. We are far more careful now. We're still making the same amount at maybe one third or half the cost. So, but still, I'll never forget that. My hands have been burnt nicely. I hope I don't forget it. You never know what happens in future.
Yeah, that's very good. I think a lot of companies have been in the same state. They hired aggressively. Even the big techs, they could not anticipate that. And you considering a very small company just starting out, I think there was no way you could have learned that otherwise, right?
Yeah, maybe I could have read some business books. Maybe I could have been a little more careful. But yeah, in hindsight, even surviving is a sort of a win. There were
Yeah,
companies that we shut
100%.
down.
So how are you doing right now? If you don't mind sharing the numbers a little bit.
Oh, so yeah, yeah, of course. No, so we did reason. We are doing reasonably well. We had a profit of roughly, I think, 1.5 crores in a 3 point some crores total revenue. So the rest of the costs are salary, uh, vendors, team outing, those kind of small things. So our company is small. It
Monthly or yearly?
this, this is really Sitesh. I don't know. You should call other guests. People who are making uh, a lot more
No,
than this.
no. Like I'm equally surprised because InterviewReady is doing pretty good. So I wouldn't be
Nice.
surprised.
No, 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 no. We are doing reasonably well, but frankly speaking, there is a it's a small company with a small scale. So what we are doing right now is, although yes, Siddesh, you're right. We should probably go for why is this a yearly figure? This can be a monthly figure. That is probably the right approach. Maybe I'm limiting myself too much, but also our long term aim, the vision of the company is actually to build tools to help in hiring. So this part of learning and courses is very much geared towards sustaining the company. So if people buy, we want to give them the best thing that is possible in terms of a learning place. And with this earning, we want to sustain ourselves to build the tools for the future. So I see the tools for the future being a lot more scalable than this kind of thing. uh, this is
Yeah,
great for a
100%. Go ahead. Sorry, I broke you up in the middle.
No, no, no. I mean to say that this is great for a small business. Like I run it like a kirana store, right? Small profits, small this, things being managed quite closely, quite well. People having their own, despite things being managed closely, people having their own ideas, and then everyone sharing and then going ahead. But I don't see this becoming like a Udemy or something. I don't see this having a scale of like I don't see myself making 30 cr per year just through online courses. I can maybe do that by offline training for
Hmm.
companies, but that again is not what really excites me. Is something which will scale but will solve a problem at a more fundamental level, like uh, automated self-evaluating tests. That is, I think, that is something I can give to the world. We are closest to it, probably.
Awesome. Great. I think you guys are doing pretty good on that side. So one of the things stand out when I was like looking at your profile recently was the Cornell collaboration. You got into an accelerator with Cornell, and there were a couple of meetups or something where you went and talked with Government of India or stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell a little bit more about that? What stand out in those organizations or memberships or whatever? So yeah.
It's these kind of programs are really useful for startup entrepreneurs. I personally benefited a lot from them. I was earlier, the run rate of InterviewReady was 7. After this program, we started aggressively looking at avenues for increasing revenue. Right, as long as the customer is not hurt, everyone is happy. So from 7 moving to 21 largely was a lot of what they explained. A mindset change is important, but more than a mindset, there are some standard business practices that you can follow. Decent amount of marketing to the right people. um, when you make a sale, just following up with the customer, saying thank you, and then giving them closer support. So before this, we didn't have live classes. We started having live classes then. uh, so just making sure that and then we started taking ratings, feedback. So these are basic lessons that every entrepreneur should know. The Cornell Maha 60 program gave us that. They gave us basic lessons on data analytics, stuff like. Even though I'm a data person or a software engineer, data analytics in a business is something I had to learn. So other benefits are there. In short, though, it does give a lot of networking opportunities also. People in cloud kitchens, people in acting, people in legal, people in agriculture, various fields. A lot of people in actually fintech. So
Mhm.
I spoke to them, and when you have a small business, a lot of things are in common. Right? A lot of things are different also, but a lot of things are in common. Like the basics are all common. Just maintain an Excel sheet, keeping track of what are your ideas, what do you want to do next. So those kind of simple things. Actually, when you have a small network, you talk to each other, you constantly talk about the same thing. You build a motivation every day. Like people keep sharing, oh, you heard about this guy, yeah, you heard about this guy. That's
Okay,
useful.
that's cool. So have you considered applying to YC ever?
Yes, I did consider. I think I also applied, if I'm not mistaken, or between their form, the forms had so many questions that I might have dropped off in between. So they filtered me out automatically in that case. But I now, I think I applied in 2020, or I tried to apply. I didn't apply. I'm not sure. I'll have to see my emails. But now I wouldn't, because now, of course, I wouldn't. I think 10% for 1 million is a bit less now, but at that time it would be interesting. Even then, I didn't believe that the amount is what we are looking for. At that time, what really happens is you have a very powerful network, and a
Yeah.
very powerful brand. Yeah,
So they do still that 10% of 1 million still today?
I'm not sure. During that time, though, they had 100K for 10%, which is basically puts your company valuation at 1 million.
Yeah.
But the effect of you being funded by YC is more funding, so at much higher valuations normally. So I was a little skeptical about getting funding, because even in the Maha Cornell program, there are a lot of opportunities to get funding. But we are a profitable company in general, and funding. What do I do after taking funding? Is a question that I ask myself, and I don't have a answer. So it would be just taking people's money and spending it on casinos and going for nice long tours. If I do it right now, if I'm making a loss, or if I really have a clear plan that we need to scale here, I understand. Right now, that is not even a close thing. I'll rather go to the bank and take a loan than give
Yeah,
stake.
I think India is pretty interesting on that sense where it's turning small, very small micro entrepreneurs where people are trying to run very profitable companies in small sections and they don't want to like grow a lot. So what are your vision on bootstrap versus venture funded?
Venture funded has some advantages. A lot of the mistakes that I made would have been definitely bearable with VCs. Maybe they would have given me advice that, Gaurav, we are not going to let you do this, right? This is against the basic practices of running a good business. Now, it's not that it is unethical on my side. It's just that I'm unaware.
Yeah.
Didn't have knowledge. So that is a benefit. The other thing is, if you want to scale, you need you need a lot of cash. So either you build that cash or you get that cash. So um, whether it's a loan or funding. So VCs have the power to actually make big changes in a country. And since they do invest in a lot of useful companies, I would say VC backed is awesome. If you eventually have a plan of turning a profit, uh, and helping your customers. Unfortunately, though, in India, and maybe even the US, I'm not too sure about that. But in India, there's a lot of companies which have picked up VC funding because it was very easy to get, uh, as compared to how difficult it should be. They got the funding. I know a lot of edtech companies which got funding, and then they have no idea how to make money. Like, they don't even care, right? It's more like a 5 year tour that they're having. They're going around having a great time. Their employees are always concerned. If there are problems, people are laid off, and then they slowly, the strangle of the founder himself kills the company, and then they call themselves a founder. Then they start giving podcasts and talks on how to make $100 million company. Like, what do you know? You don't even have a profitable business. This is one type of founder. There's a lot of founders who have done very well also. Just to
Yeah.
clarify, but yeah, on the edtech space, I think I trust bootstrapped companies more right now. But yeah, on the edtech space
Awesome.
specifically, yeah.
So cool. I've been reading some of your blogs. I think I came across one of your posts, very interesting post on Twitter, which was I got bored of 9 to 5 and then I started my own company, got back from 5 to 9, something similar. So there are a couple of questions. How do you manage your time specifically being a founder? What are the differences you have apart from being a software engineer yourself?
Well, a software engineer, initially, a founder has to do a lot of work, and it you get swarmed with so many things to do because everyone has ideas around you and you don't even know how to filter them. And most of the ideas, by the way, are decent. Like, yeah, you're right, it makes sense. Difficult to prioritize, difficult to set up, and you don't even have the practice and the mentality of a person who's calm under pressure. So you have like a lot of stuff to do, and your whiteboard is full, your sheets are full, your tabs are full. Now, that is a intense time, and I used to work like pretty long hours from morning 5. I would wake up 5, up to 5:30. I would work out quickly, then I would you have a quick bath, breakfast, and the day starts. And the day starts and it doesn't end. It just doesn't stop till 9 o'clock, when your fiance then is saying that let's watch a movie. Let's exist together for a little while. So, and then immediately you're sleeping. So this happened for a long time. uh, but in between, I'll just to let people know that founders are not something special. I had a burnout. I was just exhausted. Not just because of the schedule. I was exhausted because mentally there are so many things to do, and you're trying to chip away at it, and more things are actually piling up. So you can't do everything yourself. I started giving up. I would sit and play chess for 2-3 hours. Right. I just completely dropped the ball. The business started going from 7 to 6 to 4 with me alone, and I just can't shoot videos. Like, I can't do anything. I can't even shoot YouTube videos, right? The interview ready videos, the YouTube, everything is stopped. I'm doing the editing, I'm doing everything. So at this time, I hired one person, and what happened is it took me time to come back from that place of giving up. Right? Although people have been hired, although people are working, I am not working. That is crazy because you are the founder, you can make the maximum impact. You're not doing it. It took me a few months again to come back mentally to being able to work effectively. So when I said 9 to 5 and 5 to 9, it was partly a joke, partly serious. uh, Elon come in, and then if I'm a bit irritated, I say, Elon, what are you doing?
Okay, okay, interesting. But what happened to your Twitter? You stopped contributing to Twitter after that. You're not very active on Twitter and you're pretty much more active on LinkedIn nowadays. Did something change out on that?
I don't know if the Twitter algorithm has changed. I do try to stay, I do post my thoughts on Twitter from time to time. The place where my activity has really gone down is YouTube. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's it's almost non-existent. Partly because most of the videos that I shoot all go to Interview Ready. Um, yeah, I am trying a Hindi channel
Oh,
for
that's
some.
cool.
I have kept it at basics. This is more like
Oh,
just yeah.
I yesterday I think I read about one of your videos you posted on LinkedIn or something, right? Something I came across. I don't remember exactly, but
Internet कैसे चलता है? How does the internet work?
yeah, yeah.
It has 3 videos till now, but I plan to add many more. I want India to be that sounds so pretentious and stupid. Like, I'm just a small person, but I want to contribute to India's growth in the tech sector, and maybe giving people the knowledge in the local language will help them grasp it quicker. I've noticed this myself, that if someone speaks in a local language, people understand, people get the examples, people are able to remember faster also. So that's what I want to do. I see that this space is empty, so it's better to
Jump in.
help
Be
people.
the
Yeah.
first Hindi system design again.
Yeah, no, and this one is more like, to be frank with you, just like the previous one was, which turned into something else. Now it's a full-fledged business with me, but this one is something that I want to do from the bottom of my heart. I spend money on editing. I don't make anything, but you never know. Tomorrow I might start selling Hindi courses, so I won't I won't
Yeah,
myself. But
I
yes,
think
it's a thing.
I think it's the same thing with the popular geopolitics thing. I think Abhi and New are doing the same thing where Think School is doing the things in English, right?
Yes, yes. Abhi and New, yeah, I've seen them in an event. Geopolitics is not something I would dare do. At least till
No,
I'm
no, I'm
like,
just saying, like there are equal contributions of Hindi and English. Like pretty
yes,
much people consume a lot in Hindi and in English. But I have another thesis that the adoption of English in India is the reason why India has bigger software industry, right? But what do you think about that?
it's true. It is easier to communicate with us than the Chinese, or people from, let's say, um,
Other
non-English
developed
speaking.
nations?
Yeah, yeah. Vietnam, for example, is doing quite well now. Quite a few people there also speak English. They are learning English. Bangladesh has done extremely well
Yeah,
because many of them speak English. Pakistan, for some reason, has not done so well, but it is fine. They have software engineers also. India is also somewhere in between. India is also trying its best. In terms of numbers, of course, India, and in terms of maturity, India is probably the most. But I see Bangladesh doing like really, really well, surprising
yeah.
for a particular country. Yeah. So, so
Okay, coming
I
back.
agree.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. That's what I was saying. English is has
Okay,
helped us.
cool. So when you say marketing, one thing struck me a lot. Like you have been accessing all these platforms like LinkedIn, probably YouTube, where you spend on marketing. How are you trying to create more awareness of the brand?
One approach that we have started using is to focus on how much time is being spent by each customer at Interview Ready. So the way that you can do this is, if they are consuming more lessons, then not only are they learning more, but the chance of them telling other people that this was useful is higher. YouTube has the same thing. Watch time. Netflix has the same thing. We have the same thing. And there are a few strategies here. One of them is to take live classes where people. That's exactly what people want. Many people want. They want their doubts solved. So they come to the live class. They spend an hour over there, and they listen to what everyone else has in terms of doubts. Those are usually very high rated, and those are like, everyone says, "Wow, this is great, nice session." If they didn't like it, I guess they drop off, so I don't get to know of it. But if they like it, they stay back and they say it was really nice. So the kind of approach that we are looking at is to retain customers for an extended period of time. That itself should be enough. This is what we have noticed. People whoever have promoted us are people who have actually, they're not people who have just seen YouTube videos and are saying Interview Ready is also good. It's like they have gone through at least 2-3 hours of content, and then they say, yeah, this is good, you should try it. Do you have an interview coming up? Yeah, I went with Interview Ready, you can do it too. So that's the way to market that we are looking at. Frankly, Sitish, your question of One would be word of mouth marketing. That's what we are focused on right now. We cannot afford large scale, either digital or outdoor marketing. Uh, I don't need Shah Rukh Khan on my ad. I can't, just not even close. But I can't even get I can't afford influencers also. Okay, I can, if I have connects with them, then I can. But if it's going to take 1 lakh rupees for an influencer to post ads, and I do this with 10 or 20 influencers, I don't see the unit economics there. So at this point, just make sure that the product is really nice and people start talking about it themselves. Once that happens, yes, the cash flows in. Then promoting is something I don't know, and I have to learn. Then next step.
I think you already have a brand, so you don't need influencer on that front. The brand you have been building for like quite 6, 8 years now. I think it'll be pretty good because a lot of people know you. You have been producing good content, so it should be good enough, I guess.
It should be good enough. And I have friends like Akshay Sani, Striver, there's Kirti, there's Yogita. There's a lot of YouTubers who are my friends, and so in this way, in this space, we are able to build a brand. But if you're looking at even larger scale, like let's say we want to enter the US market, or the Europe market. So how do we connect with those influencers? So we could have collaborations with them, and then eventually tell them, there's this thing also. Would you like to promote it? Or we just wait till this thing becomes so good that the Indians start promoting it to their friends nearby, and the Google search engine itself starts ranking us up. Like people are using this a lot. So that's the idea for now.
Are you planning to go into the markets of US and UK?
It would be really nice. My accent is Indian, so I think that is a bit of a barrier. Maybe it could be
But you are
also.
known as the Indian guy as a system design, right?
Yeah, that is true. We do have 25% of the people who purchase the system design course are from outside India. So that is a significantly large number. It's the same as the YouTube viewers. So maybe I'm underestimating the number of people that we have. 25% is like 4,000 non-Indian customers, which is
Yeah.
significant. But yes, I would still, looking at the world market, 50% of the world market is in USA for system design. So
Yeah.
50% of people who are interested in that are there, and we have barely tapped 5-10% there. So we would like to. This information is useful. As long as we believe that this is useful, good stuff that we are selling, we should have no problem in going and saying, guys, you should check this out.
Yeah, 100%. I think once you add values, even for a small period of time, I think people will be ready to invest because um, the purchase power parity in US is quite lot. So even if you increase the ticket size a little bit more, probably by 10x or something, it will not matter a lot. So, like, because I have seen just for one interviews, people are ready to give $100 just for one interview session. Just for like,
Yeah.
I have a FANG interview next week. I just want to know the basics. So someone uh, who probably will be based out of India is earning $100 just for 1.5 hours. So it
Yeah.
should not be that bad.
Well,
But
there
yeah,
are
I
people
think
who.
you'll be.
Yeah, no, sorry, Sitesh, go ahead.
So yeah, I was saying like you'll be doing pretty good if you want to get into the markets. I don't think Indian accent will be a huge barrier to that. So once, as long as you have value addition continuously going on, and considering you have a non-subscription model, you'll be pretty amazing there. So
Thank you, thank you. I hope that's the case. Maybe there's a few things I can look into when it comes to the US and EU market. It's also that I speak to a lot of Indians, so maybe the kind of content I create is also geared in a way. So I can work on it. I'm sure that I want to make this a worldwide thing. So, but yes, step by step.
okay, coming to last couple of sections of our podcast, what are the suggestions you want to give to budding entrepreneurs if they want to start the business? I think you have written about it a while back, but if you want to summarize a couple of points, that would be great.
Okay. Well, the most important thing to keep in mind is to make sure that you have a working product before you make any big leap, whether it is picking up investment or whether it is taking a loan. I know OpenAI did not follow this principle, but for me personally, it has helped. And I've seen a lot of people who in the Cornell Maha 60 program who actually didn't make it through the year. 2021 to 2022, they were already dead. So if you want to avoid that, have a working product, have a profitable business so that you can pay off any loans that you have, or any kind of investment that you pick up is valued significantly high. Otherwise, if you're pre-revenue, the problem is people don't know how much to judge, how to judge you, and then it looks too risky. So that's number one. Try to make sure that your business is actually working, the business model works before you make any big investments. Leaving your job also, don't do that till you're actually making money. And the second thing I would like to say is, initially things are going to be super difficult. It's going to be extremely chaotic. It's not going to last for the rest of your life. 100-hour work weeks may not be sustainable. So what you really want to do is you want to keep it to 80 hours, 90 hours, and just do it with the thought in mind that part of this has to move out, part of it has to be automated or has to be dropped. You can't do everything, and if you have a family, then you owe it to them to also pay attention. So that's the second point. Just make sure that you work hard, but you're not working hard forever. Initially it will be difficult, there's no choice really, because you're just setting things ground up. But after maybe a year, you really should look into having time for yourself and family.
Awesome. What are the suggestions for a software engineer?
For software engineers right now, folks, the market is really, really terrible. It's very hard getting a job or switching jobs. So it's just difficult, right? I can tell you, keep working hard, keep doing this, and the fact is, the number of darts you're throwing now has to increase, or because if you are sticking, so it's difficult. If I have to give you advice long term, though, I would say just be curious. When you are doing something, don't just do it for the uh, don't just do it because someone is telling you to do it. If possible, you can dig into that problem, find something fun over there. Many tasks are boring, but you can make them exciting by either attaching them to the business, clearly seeing that this is going to impact lives, or you
Mhm.
can find something personally interesting to you. So it has to be interesting, either in terms of external interest or internal interest. Whenever you're doing a task, do that, right? That would be my main piece of advice. I don't really know how long you're going to stay in this industry. If you're going to move to entrepreneurship or you're going to do an MBA or something, whatever be the case, this part is quite useful. You get a boring task, it's okay. Do it for the sake of the people who will use it, or for your own sake, but do it.
Awesome. And what about AI? Are you thinking to integrate AI into your systems?
Eventually, yes. Actually, in very short term, we are going to have AI, a doubt assistant. It's not going to be as good as a human, but it will respond very quickly, and then a human can come back and just make sure that it's correct. So in that way, it is going to help, and that's one integration. AI in the system design judge is not something I want to bring till the last moment. I really want to build a powerful logic based system rather than a good speaker, um, because already system design is subjective. There's a lot of problems that, because we are solving this problem from first principles, we are seeing that there's a lot of stuff which can be just if else statements instead of AI. So
Yeah.
let's bring a powerful engine, and then at the end, if I see that integrating AI makes sense, then I'll do it. But I don't see that happening for a year, actually, even now.
Awesome. I think that's all. We had a great conversation, and I love the white paper sessions that you do in as part of Interview Ready. I attend a couple of them, but could not because of the time constraint. But I have started
That's
reading more
fine.
and more after following your approach, and it's been pretty amazing. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you,
So
Sitesh.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining in, spending so much time on a Saturday morning. So I hope
Thank you so
your
much.
business grows, you get into different markets. Let me know if I can help in any other ways.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
thank you so much again.
No, thank you so much, Sitesh, for actually hosting this, for making this possible. And I hope your podcast grows and grows, and it's very very successful. I had a very interesting conversation here, and I really appreciate the fact that you are able to pursue what you aim for. So kudos, and lots of success. See you.
Thank you so much.